My own sister texted me, "Don't bother showing up to the wedding. It's not your day. No call, no tears, just a cold line on a glowing screen." So I laughed, shut the door on her perfect day, and booked myself a flight to Hawaii. 1 week later, while I was sipping coffee at the airport, her wedding collapsed. My phone buzzed nonstop, 110 missed calls. And trust me, that was only the beginning. Before I dive into the story, hit like and drop a comment telling me where you're listening from. Let me know if you've ever been in this kind of situation. Your advice reminds me I'm not alone. I grew up in a house where appearances mattered more than love. To neighbors, we looked picture-perfect, freshly mowed lawn, matching Christmas sweaters, smiles plastered on every family photo. But inside, everything revolved around Megan, my older sister, the golden child. She was the pretty one, the loud one, the center of every conversation. I was the quiet shadow, the one who cleaned up messes no one else wanted to deal with. Even as kids, the roles were clear. Megan got the spotlight, I got the chores. She'd throw parties in high school, and I'd be the one scrubbing red Solo cup stains out of the carpet the next morning. Our parents brushed it off as normal sibling dynamics, but I learned early that my value in this family came from how much I could fix, not from who I was. So when Megan got engaged, no one was surprised when I jumped in to help. Planning weddings wasn't just something I did on the side, it was my career. I'd built my own event company from scratch, pouring everything into creating magical nights for strangers who actually appreciated my work. For my sister, I offered it all for free hours of calls, late-night spreadsheets, vendor negotiations that could make anyone's head spin. I told myself it was love, that this time maybe she'd see me differently, that our parents might finally look at me with the same pride they reserved for her. I wanted to believe my effort could buy me a seat at the table, not just as the planner, but as a sister. Looking back now, it's almost laughable, because the truth was already there, hidden in the way my mom said, "Don't make things harder for Megan, it's her day," or the way my dad changed the subject whenever I mentioned my business. They didn't see me as a professional or even as a daughter with limits. They saw me as convenient labor. And as the wedding drew closer, I felt the weight of that truth pressing down. Every flower arrangement, every call sheet, every carefully drafted timeline, I poured myself into it, hoping it would be enough. But deep down, there was a voice whispering what I didn't want to hear. No matter what I gave it, would never be enough for them. The first crack showed up in the smallest way. My phone buzzed late one night, Megan's name lighting up the screen. I expected another question about centerpieces or the cake flavors she couldn't decide on. Instead, it was just a casual line. "By the way, can you cover the florist's final invoice? Your deposit didn't cover it all. No, please. No, thank you." Just an assumption that I'd handle it because that's what I always did. I stared at the message, the words burning into me. My chest felt tight, but I typed back, "I already put down the deposit. That was my gift. I can't cover more." Her reply came fast, "Don't make this a big deal. It's just money. Just money." Easy for her to say when it wasn't hers. A few days later, I tried to talk to Mom, hoping for some support. I sat at the kitchen table, the smell of her coffee drifting between us, and asked, "Did you know Megan wants me to pay more?" She sighed the way she always did when I brought up anything uncomfortable. "Honey, you know Megan's under a lot of stress. Don't add to it. If you can help, you should." There it was again, the command to stay quiet, to carry the weight so Megan could shine. But the real turning point came when Dad called. His voice was warm at first, cheerful even. "So sweetheart, we're all pitching in for Megan and Alex's wedding gift, a down payment on their first house. Your share will be $2,000. You can just transfer it to me." I gripped the phone so hard my hand hurt. "Dad," I said slowly, "I'm not even invited to the wedding anymore." There was a long pause before his tone hardened. "This isn't about the wedding, Clara. This is about family. Don't punish your sister over one little seating issue. One little seating issue." My exclusion, my work, my money dismissed in a single phrase. After that, the humiliation became public. One night before bed, I scrolled through Instagram and froze. My cousin had posted pictures from Megan's bridal shower. It was held at the same garden cafe I'd scouted months before. There were the bridesmaids in matching dresses I helped choose, clinking champagne glasses, smiles, wide Megan glowing at the center. The caption read, "The A-team celebrating the bride-to-be. I wasn't part of the picture. I wasn't part of the A-team." I closed the app, my throat dry, my hands shaking. For the first time, it wasn't just sadness. It was something colder, sharper. Anger that hummed like electricity under my skin. 10 days before the wedding, my phone rang again. Megan's voice exploded the second I picked up. "The band just canceled. Their singer got sick. You have to fix this, Clara. The wedding is in 10 days. Do something." Her demand was so casual, as if I still worked for her, as if she hadn't erased me from her big day. I took a slow breath, steadying myself. "I'm not your planner anymore, Megan." There was silence, then a screech. "Are you kidding me? After everything I've done for you, you're really gonna be this petty?" But I didn't argue. I just hung up the click echoing through the room. For the first time, I hadn't folded. And in that silence, I realized something vital. This wasn't just about a wedding anymore. This was about my worth, about whether I would keep letting them use me until there was nothing left. That night, lying in bed, I made a decision. They thought I was powerless, just the quiet fixer in the background. But they had no idea how much power I actually held. The days that followed blurred into a strange mix of quiet rage and icy clarity. For so long, I had been the fixer, the one who absorbed every demand without question. But that phone call with Megan, the way she screeched at me, the way my parents expected me to keep pouring money into a celebration I wasn't even invited to, had snapped something inside me. I sat at my kitchen table surrounded by neat stacks of papers, contracts, invoices, receipts, the documents that had ruled my life for the past 6 months. I'd signed every single one under my business name. Collins Events, LLC, the venue, the caterer, the florist, the linen rentals, all of them. I hadn't thought much about it at the time. It was just how I operated, never mixing personal and professional accounts. But now, as I scanned each line, one detail stood out like a lifeline. Final balances were due exactly 7 days before the event. If payment wasn't received, the contracts became void. In other words, the wedding didn't belong to Megan, it belonged to me. Still, I needed to be sure. I called Sarah, my friend and lawyer, the one who had helped me draft these contracts years ago when I was just starting out. We met at a small coffee shop downtown. The place smelled like espresso and cinnamon, the air humming with low conversations and clinking cups. I slid the folder across the table, my hands trembling, despite the cool expression I tried to maintain. Sarah flipped through the contracts with her usual no-nonsense calm. After a few minutes, she looked up at me, eyes steady. "Ava, you're the client of record. Legally, they answer to you. If the final payments aren't made by the deadline, you're entitled to cancel. The deposits refundable to your business account." Her words hit me like a shock and a relief all at once. I wasn't powerless. I wasn't just the sister they could discard. I was the one holding all the strings. "Is it petty if I use that?" I whispered. Sarah shook her head. "It's not petty. It's business. They treated your professional work like a doormat. You have every right to pull it out from under them." That night, I sat alone in my apartment, the glow of my laptop illuminating the room. My cursor blinked on the screen, taunting me, daring me to take the step. I drafted 4 emails, one for each vendor. The words were polite, professional, free of anger. As the client on record for the event scheduled, August 30th, I am writing to inform you that I will not be remitting the final payment as stipulated in our contract. Please consider this notice of cancellation effective immediately. Refund the deposit to my business account on file. I read them over and over, my heart pounding. This wasn't revenge born of fury, it was the clean precision of someone finally claiming their power. I scheduled the emails to send at exactly 9 a.m. the next morning, 7 days before the wedding. As I shut my laptop, a strange calm settled over me. Outside, the city lights flickered, car horns echoed faintly in the distance. For once, their chaos wasn't mine to manage. The next morning, I woke to the quiet hum of my phone alarm. I poured myself coffee, sat by the window, and waited. At 9 a.m. sharp, the emails went out. No fireworks, no dramatic music, just a series of polite digital goodbyes traveling through cyberspace. For a few hours, there was silence. I imagined vendors opening their inboxes, reading my words, making calls. And then just after noon, the phone on Megan's end must have started ringing. One by one, the dominoes would fall. I sipped my coffee, steady and calm. For the first time, I wasn't waiting for their approval. I was waiting for the sound of everything they took for granted crashing down. It started with a call from the venue manager. His name, Harrison, lit up on Megan's phone at noon, just as she was picking out nail colors with her bridesmaids. I wasn't there, of course, but I could imagine it clearly. The way she laughed at first, thinking it was a mistake. The way her smile faltered when he said in his crisp, professional tone, "I'm sorry, Ms. Collins. We received a cancellation notice from Collins Events. Your booking has been released." Within the hour, the caterer called, then the florist, then the linen company, each one delivering the same polite, devastating message: no payment, no wedding. My own phone finally lit up, buzzing across the kitchen counter until I picked it up. Megan's name flashed, and I let it ring twice before answering. I set it to speaker and leaned back in my chair, calm, as the storm raged on the other end. "What the hell did you do?" Megan's voice cracked into a shrill scream. I could hear chaos in the background, my mother shouting, my father's booming voice echoing through what must have been the living room. The venue just canceled. The caterer, too. "They all said you pulled the plug." I took a slow sip of my coffee before speaking. "I didn't do anything. I just chose not to make the final payments. You told me I had no place at your wedding, Megan, so I removed myself and my business from it. You ruined my wedding to get back at me." She screeched, her voice raw with panic. "No," I said evenly. "You ruined your own wedding when you decided I wasn't worth a seat at the table. You can't erase me, use me, and still expect my work to stand behind you." There was a beat of silence before my mother's voice cut in sharp and furious. "Ava, how dare you? This is your sister's big day. You need to fix this right now." "I can't," I replied. My tone was calm, almost gentle, which only seemed to make them angrier. "The contracts are already void. The deposits have been refunded to my business account. It's done. You'll give that money back." My father roared, his voice so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "No," I said. "That money was never a gift. It was business. And I'm done letting you treat me like free labor." For the first time, there was no scrambling, no apology from me. Just the sound of my words landing like stones in the silence that followed. On the other end of the line, I could hear Megan breaking down her sobs, jagged, furious, desperate. "You don't understand what you've done. Guests are flying in. Alex's family is already here, and yet somehow there was no room for me." I cut in. My voice sharpened for the first time. "Do you hear yourself? You erased me and still expected me to carry you." The sobs turned to venom. "You're pathetic. You've always been jealous. You'll die alone with your spreadsheets and your contracts, and no one will ever love you the way we love Megan." That one stung, I won't lie. But I forced myself to stay steady. "Maybe so," I said softly, "but at least I'll never beg scraps of love from people who only know how to take." The line went dead silent. Not a scream, not a sob, just nothing. And in that pause, I knew they finally understood this wasn't a tantrum. This wasn't a phase. This was the end of me being their doormat. I ended the call myself, pressing the red button with a hand that no longer trembled. The next few days were a blur of panicked voicemails, angry texts, even threats. At one point, my father showed up at my apartment building, pounding on the lobby door, demanding I come down and fix the family disaster. I stayed upstairs, lights off, watching from the window as he finally left. For once, I didn't cave. And then came the wedding day, or rather what was supposed to be the wedding day. While Megan and my parents scrambled to salvage scraps, switching venues, begging vendors who were already booked, I was sitting at the airport suitcase at my side, the hum of departures and announcements filling the air. I ordered a coffee, set my phone to silent, and slid my boarding pass across the counter. As the plane lifted into the sky, I thought of Megan in her white dress, standing in an empty hall with no flowers, no music, no food. The image wasn't sweet revenge. It was justice, the kind of justice that comes when someone finally refuses to be used. By the time my phone buzzed again, 40 new messages, 70 more missed calls, I was already soaring over the Pacific, watching the sunlight glitter on the water. And for the first time in years, the chaos wasn't mine to fix. The strangest thing about walking away was how light it felt. I thought I'd carry guilt or maybe regret, but all I felt was space, like I could finally breathe without their weight pressing down on my chest. News trickled back in pieces. A cousin messaged me with disbelief Megan's wedding had been reduced to a chaotic backyard scramble plastic tablecloths from Walmart pizza delivery instead of a plated dinner. Half the guests left early. Photos were conspicuously absent from social media, except for one grainy shot where Megan's eyes looked more furious than joyful. My parents tried one last time to reel me back in. A long email arrived full of guilt trips families should stick together. You embarrassed us. You ruined Megan's big day. I read it once, then deleted it. For once, I didn't feel the need to respond. Meanwhile, the refunded deposit sat safely in my business account, proof that all my work hadn't been wasted, it had simply been reclaimed. With that money, I invested back into my company. I booked new clients, ones who valued me, who thanked me, who paid me without question. But the best part wasn't the business, it was my own peace. I walked along the beach in Hawaii at sunrise, the sand cool under my feet, the ocean stretching endless and calm. For the first time in years, I wasn't planning around someone else's demands. I was just living. I thought about my grandmother, the one family member who had ever truly seen me. She used to tell me, "Your worth isn't in what you give away. It's in what you hold on to." Standing there with the waves lapping at my ankles, I finally understood what she meant. They had lost me completely, and I hadn't lost a thing. Family can wound you in ways strangers never could. They know exactly where to cut deepest, and for years I let those cuts bleed while pretending everything was fine. But sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't fixing the mess, it's walking away from it. I didn't destroy my sister's wedding, I simply stopped holding it up. And in doing so, I realized something I should have known all along: my value was never measured by their approval. It was mine to define. If you've ever stood up to family who tried to erase you, or if you've had to protect your own peace at the cost of belonging, know this: you are not alone. Share your story in the comments. I'll be reading them. And don't forget to subscribe, because the next story might just remind you of your own strength.